Hello and welcome in this session with me to kickstart a big topic of Azure Cloud Computing, storage service. Let's talk about Azure Storage, type of account and data storage services that are available to explore and then get some labs done on how to deploy, manage and access the Azure Storage services. So, what is Azure Storage? Azure Storage is a cloud-based storage service that allows us to store and manage large amount of data in the cloud. Well, when I say large, not necessarily your data has to be exabyte amount to adopt Azure Storage services, but fair to say any sizes. The account types, though it serves many type of account, but mainly focused on general purpose account and premium tier account. General purpose V2 storage account. This is the most common storage account, the type of storage account that supports all types of data objects such as blob, files, keys, table, and disk. It provides the lowest per gigabytes pricing for storage, making it ideal for most scenarios. And with the premium tier, you can use block blobs, file shares, and page blob. We will talk about storage type shortly, but just to give you an overview of the premium account, this is optimized for running high performance mission critical workloads such as database and virtual machines. A premium storage account offers higher IOPS, a lower latency, one of the main reasons why people more lenient towards the premium tier, and higher output compared to the standard storage account. So the type of data storage services, Azure Storage offers 4 types of data storage services: blob, file, queue, and table storage. You can use those services to store and manage unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data. Before I dive down more, let's go to the portal and deploy a storage account, and we'll discuss more as we get along. If you are new to the portal, then from the left hand side menu blade, you can choose the storage account from here. This is the resources, and you click create to create your first storage account. Creating a storage account requires 6 basic tabs to be filled up here: subscriptions, resource group, where we want to stick the storage account name here, and region where we want to place the storage account, performance type, and redundancy. Now, performance type or tier is a storage account type that we just discussed earlier. Just one thing to remember here: the storage account name, it has to be between 3 to 24 characters in small letters and numbers only. Also, it has to be unique within Azure, meaning your storage account name must be available to choose. In the performance tab, we have 2 options here: standard and premium. In this instance, we will go ahead with the standard tier, as we don't need lower latencies for the lab purposes. When we select the standard, it has 4 different redundancy options to choose. Let me switch to my slides very quickly. So this is an example of Azure region. Each of the region has at least 3 availability zones, and each of the zone has 1 or more data center. So the first option that we have got ourselves is locally redundant storage, LRS. So LRS, it replicates your data 3 times within a single data center in a single region. So it will target, let's say, this data center 3, it will keep 3 of the copies into a single data center. The next option that we have got ourselves is geo-redundant storage. It replicates your data to a secondary region, providing a higher level of durability and availability. You don't get to choose the secondary region, but Azure does that for you. In case of a disaster or an outage in the primary region, the data can be accessed from the secondary region. GRS replicates data asynchronously to the secondary region that is hundreds of miles away from the primary region. So 3 copies are here and 3 copies are to the secondary region, but then it depends on the fault and update domains in the secondary region. So the next option we have got is the zone redundant storage. It replicates your data within the single region across 3 different availability zones. This redundancy option provides higher availability and durability compared to the LRS, the locally redundant storage, as it ensures that data remains available in the event of a data center or a zone failure. So in case one data center, the data center that your data, the primary data is, or primary, secondary, it doesn't matter. If any of the data center among those availability zone goes down or outage, you can still access the data from the other data center within the other zone. Last but not the least, the GeoZone redundant storage. This replicates your data across 3 availability zone in 2 regions, providing the highest level of availability. In case of a disaster or outage in one region, the data can be accessed from the other region. So let's go back to the portal, and in these instances we will just select the locally redundant storage. Next option, advanced. Before I go to the advanced, one of the very important things to take a note: you cannot change a storage account to a different type after it's created. To move your data to a storage account of a different type, you must create a new account and copy the data to the new account. Also, remember, with premium tier there are no geo redundancy. So if you choose the premium tier and any of the file storage type, then you can see that it's only locally redundant and zone redundant available. Well, this makes sense. To provide lower latency access, geo redundancy isn't a viable option. I mean, at least not with the technology we have in our hands now. Next, in advance, so the first option is require secure transfer for REST API operation. It's a HTTP methods, a set of HTTP methods used to interact with web resources such as data in an Azure Storage account. REST is widely used architectural style for building web services, and REST APIs are commonly used to expose web services that can be accessed by other applications or system. If you are familiar with the REST, then you know what I'm talking about. Enabling public access on containers. Well, Blob containers do not allow public access by default. Enabling this option will allow authorized user to access the container. Enabling the storage account key access permit request. This permits the request to the account that are authorized with shared keys, shared access signature, the SAS and stuff like this. So if we select this option, obviously we can access those keys under the account key section once the storage account is created. Default to Azure Active Directory authorizations in the Azure portal. Now, by selecting this option, you can simplify the management of access to your storage account by using Azure AD as a default authorization mechanism. Transport layer. So yeah, TLS version. If you're using any applications in the background and attaching this storage account with it, you can select the appropriate TLS version accordingly. Now there is plenty of options here basically to play with. I will create the account first to touch base the fundamentals, and we can discuss in details as we proceed. Right, our storage account is ready. Let's go inside to the account and create the data storage services one by one. We will target first the container for Blob. So obviously there are plenty of other options in the top, the general options, the storage browser. We can use the storage browser here in the web. At the same time, we will see moving forward, we'll download the Storage Explorer from the Microsoft side, and we'll see how we can use that. You have for the IAM services, you can give access to any users as a contributor, owner, reader. There are so many different kind of roles over here. You can just go in there and select any of these appropriately, and then assign permissions from the IAMs. You can see the activity logs, that what's been done within this account. For the time being, it's an empty thing. As soon we execute something here, everything will be logged here. So as I said, the first option is container. In Azure, containers are a way to store and manage data object in the cloud. Simply a way to say that a container is similar to a folder on a local computer, but with the key differences, obviously. Storage container can be used to store blobs. So blobs are binary large objects such as images or videos. So first we have a storage account which we just created here, and then inside the storage account we create a container, and inside the container we keep blobs. So we can create container with either public or private access. Let's add a private container. Our container is ready. We can upload the data from Azure portal by simply going into that and upload, selecting the upload option. We can also use Microsoft Storage Explorer to access the data or to move and migrate existing data. We also can use other Microsoft tools such as AZ Copy, Azure Storage Data Movement Library, Azure Data Factory, Blob Fuse, Azure Data Boxes, and Azure Import Export Services. There are plenty of tools anyway. So objects in Blob Storage are accessible via the Azure Storage REST API, Azure PowerShell, Azure CLI, or Azure Storage Client Library. Libraries are available for different languages. So that includes .NET, Java, Node.js, Python, and Go. So we can see that we can upload a file from here, and what I'm gonna do basically, I'm just gonna upload a very general a video file, and then we will try to see the file, view the file, download the file using the Storage Explorer. Right, so simply we uploaded a sample file. If we go one step backwards into the storage account, as we have an option to do the storage browser to browse the files. We have created a container. We can see that our first container, the name is our first container. We can see the file from here as well. We definitely have the plenty of options to play with those kind of files, either download it or do various other options. So let's look into Azure Storage Explorer, the desktop version now. If you haven't downloaded it already, please search and install it to test your lab if you are testing it at the same time. If you're not, feel free to download it whenever you are doing it. I have already installed it for this lab demonstration, so I'm just gonna pop it in here. Okay, so this is Azure Storage Explorer. It's pretty cool and simple to use. So from the storage account, you can connect this Explorer to an entire subscriptions, or particularly target and storage account. So let's say that you have multiple storage account and you do not want to give access to a user to all the storage, so you can select from the list as sort. So just quickly, if you click on the connector, it's going to give you the options whether you want to connect to an entire subscription or a particular storage account. So we have created only one storage account here. We can connect to that storage account. You have other options as well, particularly to the separate data storage services. In our cases, if we select the storage account, we have three options. Either we can connect the storage explorer using the SAS key or SAS, so connection string, shared access signature, or account name and key. So it's up to you which option you want to select. Where you can find these options, this connection string. If you go back to the storage account, you can see that option over here called access key. If you click on access key, it's going to give you the connection string here. There are two sets of keys here. Use any of this, either of the connection string, it will work. So copy the connection string from here, go back to your storage explorer, click next, and just stick it here basically, and then your storage account should be available on the top. You can see the display name here. So just click next and connect, and in a few seconds your storage account will be appearing just here. And obviously if we go into the blob, we can see that we created a container, and inside the container obviously we uploaded one of the video files, so you have plenty of options on the top. You can start uploading from here as well, files, folders, and you can start downloading as well. So most of the options are available on the top in the menu. Okay, we did commission an Azure Storage account, also created a container for Blob storage, uploaded files, a sample file, beg your pardon, and also we have seen a few options with the Azure Storage Explorer in the portal version, at the same time the desktop version, how to connect the Azure Storage account with the Azure Storage Explorer. I would like to thank you very much for taking your time. If you are interested in file storage, table storage, and queue storage, please click below.